start in child's pose. So I would recommend taking, at the very least, taking the big toes to touch and the knees wide, if that feels comfortable on the body. And then just allowing the body to release down. The hips will draw back toward the heels. The forehead will rest somewhere. That might be on stacked palms. It might be on stacked fists. Perhaps it's to the floor, whatever feels right. But just begin to settle in here. And I know for me, my shoulders are super tight, so sometimes outstretching my arms is a bit much. So you can always bend the elbows or even take the hands by your sides, back by your feet. And as you settle in here, I invite you to tap into the tops of your feet and just feel the feet on the earth. Maybe spread the toes so you feel the tops of all 10 toes hit the floor. Taking notice of the shins and the knees. Taking notice of the forehead that's connected to something. And just take some comfort in being grounded and supported. We're low to the earth. Child's pose is very much this ability to drop in. You know, when a kid throws a tantrum, generally what they do is they throw themselves on the floor. They know they're safe there. So coming into the space. And as you become physically present on your mat, allow yourself to scan your body and notice places very specifically in the upper body that could release. So I'm thinking about the space between the brows, the space around the corners of the eyes and the corners of the lips. Maybe even relaxing the shoulder blades back towards your waist. And as you soften in these areas, begin to send some breath even deeper. So really filling up across the back on the breath in. And releasing back deeper through the hips on the breath out. And if the mind wanders, again, it's the end of a long week. So if the mind wanders, try and guide it back. Noticing and really fully being present in that feeling of expansion on the breath in and that feeling of release on the breath out. And perhaps even taking a moment here to set an intention. That might just be allowing yourself the space to turn the brain off for an hour. Maybe it's sending out some energy to somebody who might need it. Whatever you feel is right tonight. And you're slowly going to take your left hand and place it on top of your right hand over by the right side of the mat. You'll feel this stretch now come along the left side of your waist. On your next inhale, you'll come through center with both hands. And on your exhale, place the right hand on top of your left hand. Feeling that now over the rib cage, over the waist on the right side. And beginning to walk your hands back through center. We're going to rise up, coming on to hands and knees, taking your wrists underneath your shoulders and your knees underneath your hips. And just taking some free movement here, maybe swaying the hips from side to side, maybe letting the head hang heavy. And closing the eyes, allowing yourself to feel your body and notice places again that could use a little bit of extra softening tonight. One more breath in whatever free movement feels right for you. And then gently come back to neutral spine at center. Let's draw the belly down as the chest lengthens. We'll take a deep breath in. Rounding the spine into your cat back as you breathe out. Draw your belly down, lengthen your chest forward, breathe in. Round your spine, breathe out. Last time, belly down, chest lengthens, breathe in. Rounding out the spine, stay rounded here, pushing the hips back a bit, feeling that lengthen out your low back. And then shifting your left hip over to the left back corner of the mat, feeling that over your low back. And then shifting your right hip back to the right back corner of the mat. And slowly coming back through center. Let's walk our hands back. So we're now standing on our knees. And you're going to take your hands, I'm just going to sit back onto my heels so that you don't lose me in the view. You're going to take your hands around the back of your head, interlacing. Draw the elbows around the temples and let the chin drop to the chest. At the end of a long week, especially with all that's going on in the world, we do tend, even whether we know it or not, to hold some tension through the neck and the shoulders, as if holding the weight of the world. So with the chin down to the chest, draw your chin to the left side. Draw back through center, draw your chin to the right side. Draw back through center, drop the chin even heavier here. And slowly release. You'll rise the arms up, palms facing upward. Reach over to your right side. So you're pushing your hip left, reaching the palms to the right. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, reach over to your left side as you push that right hip to the right. And slowly we'll come right back through center. Taking the hands now behind your back, interlace. Knuckles will draw down and back. Push the pinky side of your hand back. And again, what tends to want to happen is the chest wants to open up. Imagine you have shoelaces strung between the ribs and you tie them tightly. And here, drop your chin to your chest. And again, take your gaze to the left, to center, and then to the right, to center. Release the arms, level the head over the shoulders. We're going to take the hands to the hips and step your right leg out to the right side. Making sure ankle, knee, and hip are in one line. We'll reach down the right leg and lift the left arm up. So coming a little deeper into the side stretch here. And if your arm on the left-hand side gets tired, you can always take it behind the head. That's totally fine. Nice deep breath in. Full breath out. You're going to circle the hands down to your mat, staying on that left knee and pressing the hips back toward your heel. You're immediately going to feel the inner thigh on that right leg. Now you can stay right where you are. If you want the sensation to be deeper, the forearms will come down and you'll almost sit to your left heel. But it's totally optional. You can stay where you are. You find your edge and you breathe there. You're going to rise up to the tips of your fingers and send your left hand beside your left hip as you reach the right arm up and over. Taking this nice deep stretch from the ankle all the way to the tips of the fingers and not forgetting to breathe here. Begin to sweep that right hand down again, finding hands and knees as you send the right knee underneath your hip. Taking a cat-cow here as we reset the spine. Rounding out through cat back and then walking those hands back as you take the hands to the hips. Standing on the knees, we'll step out through your left foot. Taking the left hand down the leg, the right arm will rise up. Good. So again, feeling that stretch. Just come a little bit deeper along the right side. And one more nice deep breath in. And as you breathe out, circle around, hands to the mat, pushing the hips back just a bit, just until you feel that sensation inside the thigh on the left. Your choice where you bring this. Be really mindful of what's happening in your knee, that you're not locking the knee out and hyperextending. Slowly walk up, fingertips walk over, right hand to the mat. Left arm reaches up. So you're making this little rainbow shape with the body from the outer edge of your left foot to the fingertips of your left hand. Or, yeah, left hand, yeah. And then slowly circle around, left hand, right hand to the earth, left knee under hip. Cat-cow, belly draws down, chest lengthens, breathe in. Go ahead, round your spine, breathe out, and push back to child's pose. One breath here in child's. And on an inhale, lengthen up through cow belly. Exhaling to round out through cat back and press back to child's pose. So it's just this flexion and extension of the spine. Inhale, we rise up and come through cow belly. Exhale, we round out and push back to child's pose. Last time, inhale, lengthen through cow belly. And exhale, round to child's. Again, one breath here in your child's pose. Now, seated on your heels, if that is comfortable on your knees. If not, stand on the knees. Otherwise, seated on the heels. You're going to take the hands behind you to the small of your back as if in imaginary back pockets. And lift the chest open. From here, left arm will reach and take it across your right outer thigh. You're going to find a gentle twist here. Same thing can be done, again, same thing can be done standing on knees. Finding this gentle twist, just feeling opening across the right side of your waist. As you inhale, both arms will rise through center, and as you exhale, left hand to small of back, right hand to outer left thigh. And then slowly back through center. We're going to find our way to a comfortable seat with the left shin forward. And we're going to take a minute to just kind of walk the sits bones back so you don't feel tucked under through the tailbone. Fingertips will face inward, heels of hands to outer knees. Take a breath in as the chest lifts, and a breath out as you press downward and outward through the knees. And fold the chest over those shins. Being mindful that you're leading from the center of your chest rather than letting the chest collapse downward. So send the chest forward and feel how that difference creates more sensation in that left hip. Now with this forward fold, we're going to do a little bit of rocking from side to side. Slowly coming through center, fingertips down to the earth in front of you. Walk the hands over to the upper right corner of the room, reaching your left fingertips a little bit deeper than the right, and you'll feel that come up over the low back on the left side. Slowly drawing back through center, you'll walk up so the shoulders stack over the hips. Take your left hand to your right ear, and then the left ear to the shoulder. Your hand will, on the right side, will press down and out through the knee as you take the stretch on the neck a bit deeper. Let the chin tuck toward the left collarbone just a touch. And then slowly release here. Taking the twist deeper now, right hand comes to the floor, left hand comes to outer knee. Seated, we can begin to twist more from the waist, where on knees we were twisting more from the ribs. And slowly come right back through center. We're going to switch the way the legs are crossed as you bring your right shin in front of your left shin. And it doesn't matter how high the knees are. If the knees are super high, you can always prop something under them for support. Taking your fingertips once again to face in, heels of hands to knees. Lift your chest and fold forward as if there's a hinge at your hips. Pressing downward and outward through the outer knees. And a little bit of side to side rocking as you feel that right inner hip crease begin to open up. Coming through center as the rocking ends and taking the hands in front. Deep breath in here, lengthen, and as you breathe out, walk over to your left side, reaching those right fingertips just a bit deeper. Breathing into the stretch across the side of the waist on the right. Coming back through center, hands to the earth, walk back, shoulders over hips. We're going to take the right hand now to the left ear and let that right ear come to the shoulder. Pressing out into the knee with the left hand, you'll feel the stretch come a bit deeper. Allow the chin to draw down toward the collarbone a bit on the right side. Slowly release, allowing the head to come back to neutral. Taking left hand behind the back, right hand across the left knee. Lift the chest to breathe in and ring out to breathe out. And slowly we'll come right back through center. Let's take the soles I see the dog. Let's take the soles of the feet together. So we'll have butterfly knees. And again, just walk those sits bones back a bit. Rising up through the chest, we're going to circle 3 times to the right. Feeling those inner thighs, inner hips open up. And then 3 times to the left. Last one. As you come through center, you're going to draw the chest toward the big toes and let the elbows drop inside the knees. Feeling that nice, deep, open stretch. And slowly draw up. Let's take the soles of the feet to the floor. I'm going to turn sideways for this one. Little shoulder and chest opener. Hands will come behind you with the fingertips facing back. You'll lift the hips a bit and slide them towards your heels. Now the body wants to collapse into the chest. Let's push into the heels of the hands and broaden across the chest as we draw the heart open and feel the stretch where chest and arms meet. And then even all the way down the upper arms into the biceps. From here, release down onto forearms and come all the way onto your backs. Relaxing the hands by your sides to start. We're going to take that right knee into the chest. Interlace around the shin or behind the knee, depending on how tight the knee feels tonight. Just a gentle tourniquet effect here. Breathing into that hip. And slowly release the right leg down. Draw the left knee in, interlace in front or behind, and pull that knee in towards your chest. Breathing deeply into that left hip now. And slowly release the legs long. You're going to send your legs to the right. Cross your left ankle over your right ankle And interlace your hands behind you, so like back behind your head, you reach long. Press the palms back and reach to the right. So you're making a banana shape with your body. Feeling a stretch all the way along the side of your body here. And starting to soften into it. If that left shoulder has lifted up, maybe bend the left elbow a bit and relax the shoulder. So this is a very passive stretch, coming into a little bit of yin work. We'll come through center with the legs, sending the left leg to the left and the right leg over at the ankles, and then reaching the hands to the left as well as you find that stretch on the right side. And allow the body then to become passive. Every breath in, you'll feel the ribs expand on the right. And every breath out, you'll feel a little bit more released. Slowly drawing back through center, relax the hands beside you once again and take the soles of the feet to the earth. We'll take both knees up. Now we're going to take Happy Baby. We've never taken full Happy Baby before, but you're in the privacy of your home, so it'll be just fine. You're going to reach the hands inside the knees, lift the shoulders up, and either reach for the outer ankles or the insides of the feet, inner ankles or insides of the feet. And then you're going to draw the knees wide beside your ribs and take the heels and ankles stacking over knees. So it's not the most modest pose, but it's excellent for the hips. And if that is uncomfortable, you can always grab behind the knees. It's going to do the same thing. Now what tends to happen is the tailbone wants to lift up off the floor. Try and press it down. And a little bit of rocking from side to side, so a little dead bug pose here. A little rocking from side to side. Feeling those hips open as we massage the low back out. Slowly draw the heels together, draw the knees together. We're going to find our way up to a seat once again. And let's take the right foot forward and the left leg will swing behind you. Hands will come to both knees, lift up through the chest and fold forward over that leg. So we've done a lot through inner thighs, a lot through hips. This should feel like this nice release here. And again, coming into just a little bit of yin work, let the upper arm bones come up to the earlobes and then drop the head heavy. So you should feel this squeezing sensation right between the shoulder blades and a little bit of release as the weight of the head drops down. Maybe the head rests again on stacked fists or stacked palms. And we allow the weight of the body over the hip to simply soften that space. Slowly begin to raise the head, walking your hands over to the left, getting a bit deeper across your hip and across your low waist. And slowly walk those hands back. We're going to send your right hand kind of diagonally beside your right hip. Take your left hand to your hip, and you're simply going to present the chest forward and perhaps lift the hips up and push them forward. If that's not comfortable on the knees or the hips, that's fine. But we're going to be here for a couple of breaths, whether just opening the chest or opening across the front of the hip flexor on the left. And let's release that down. Switching now to the other side, left leg forward, right leg behind. Shift to however you need your body to feel comfortable. Let the hands come to the knees and lift the chest to begin. Send that open chest over your left shin and walk down. Again, perhaps drawing the upper arm bones to the earlobes and letting the head hang heavy here. If that's not comfortable for you, just stack the fists and rest the forehead. So again, we're in this time off of our mat of extreme discomfort, both in our personal lives, as you know, our social interactions have been stifled, and in the world as a whole. And what yoga tries to teach us is that we can get through the discomfort one moment at a time. So as you feel any discomfort in the hip or perhaps the inner thigh, know that it's temporary, and that as you breathe in and breathe out, you're through yet another moment of this discomfort. And the more you soften and the less you force, the easier it is to simply be present in the discomfort. There's a difference between discomfort and pain, and yoga also teaches us that. So let's begin to walk the hands over to your right side. Feeling the stretch come deeper into the hip and now across the waist. And slowly begin to walk up. Taking your left hand now diagonally beside your hip, right hand will come to the hip. Begin by lifting and opening across the chest, and then perhaps pushing the hips up off of the floor. Find 2 breaths here. And slowly lower down. We're going to find ourselves again on hands and knees, and we're going to transition ourselves down to the mat. So let's first start with happy puppy, hips over knees, hands walk forward, chest drops down through shoulders. Finding some breath here across the chest. If this gets to be too much on shoulders, bend the elbows and drop the forearms. So the elbows bend out to the sides. Forehead, chin, or chest can touch the floor if they get there, but they do not have to. And then we're going to slide all the way down onto our bellies, propping ourselves up onto our forearms. And this is where that yin pose of letting the head hang heavy is really going to be felt. So what you want to do is take a look at your elbows. They should be just slightly forward of the front of your shoulder. Let the upper arm bones come up to the earlobes so the chest kind of drops down, and then let the head hang heavy off of the shoulders like a bowling ball. You should be feeling this right across the muscle group that connects the neck to the tips of your shoulders, so the upper trapezius muscles. If you're not feeling it, maybe the elbows walk out or in toward one another a bit, until you start to feel that little Vulcan grip, that little acupressure grip. Again, tapping into the skin of the face, and notice where you might still be holding tension. Try and roll the fronts of the shoulders toward the back of the shoulders as the blades draw closer toward one another. And feel how that changes the sensation. Slowly push into your elbows, lift the head. We're going to send the right arm forward and then send the left arm across. Now this could get a little bit uncomfortable across the chest, so only come as far as feels comfortable. Now as you cross your left arm under your right, you're going to send your right hand forward and the left hand will keep going to the right. You will immediately feel compression across the inner part of your chest on the left and a stretch across the outer part of your shoulder on the left. And again, let the head drop down a bit. We're only here for one more breath. And slowly draw your right hand back, pushing so that you can unthread. Let's let that left arm come out to the side. Take the right hand beside you and roll over onto your left hip, opening up now across the place where chest and shoulder meet. Now, if the head does not comfortably rest to the floor, rolling anything, sweatshirt, whatever might work, underneath your ear on that left side. Slowly draw back through center. Let's take the left arm out in front of us, tense your fingers to lift up a bit, creating space, and send the right arm across the room to the left. Sliding left fingertips forward, right fingertips to the left. And just resting wherever you begin to feel compression inside and stretch on the outside of the shoulder. Slowly draw the left hand back so that you can create space. Right arm will come out to the side. Left hand beside your left ribs. Roll to your right hip. Totally opposite stretch here now, getting across the inside of the arm. And propping the head with anything that might feel comfortable, unless it's okay to leave it the way that it is. Slowly draw back through center. We're going to give the fronts of the legs just a little bit of TLC and also stretch the shoulder in the process. Left hand will come to left foot. If that is not your favorite thing to do, I would say just kick the heel to the glute, okay? And push the front of the hip into the floor. You don't need to grab hold. But if you do have a grip, you're going to draw the heel a little closer to the glute and push the hip into the floor. And then slowly release. Let's take the left knee into half frog. So you bend the knee, flex the foot, 90-degree bend at the ankle, 90-degree bend at the knee, 90-degree bend at the hip, okay? And then from there, we're simply going to press the front of the hip down into the floor. You'll feel that into your outer hip crease and across the inner thigh on the left. And then we're going to combine all of the movements we just did. Let's take the left hand out in front of us, thread the right arm. Now you can hang out right here, or you can take this really deep twist with the left hand coming to the hip. You're going to send the chest up and open to the ceiling, keeping that left knee on the floor. And if your hand isn't comfortable on your hip, you can always kind of tuck it behind the low back. But you should feel this really ring out across the space just above your hip in the low back area on the left. Slowly unwind by sending that left hand back, unthreading the right hand, and let's draw that left leg back behind you. Rest your forehead on stacked palms. Bend your knees and windshield wiper your feet from side to side. Let's relax the legs down. Bend your right knee, either sending the heel toward the glute and the hip toward the floor, or adding the reach as you grab pinky side of that foot and draw the heel closer to the glute. Release the grip. Send the right leg out into this half frog pose. Let's press the front of the hip into the floor, stretching the inner thigh to begin. Send your right arm forward, thread your left arm under, and you can hang out here, or right hand can come to hip, and you can begin to twist the torso open. Again, hand can rest to hip, or hand can tuck underneath the waist. Slowly unwind, coming back through center, unthread, stack your palms as you send the legs bent, and windshield wiper those feet. Slowly release the legs long, take your hands beside your ribs, and press up to all fours. We're going to take full frog pose. My recommendation would be that you come sideways on your mat so that the inner edges of your knees are padded. The knees will come wide. You take a 90-degree bend at the knees, a 90-degree bend at the feet or ankles, so the inside edges of your feet are down to the earth. And then you're simply going to walk your knees out until you go, okay, well, I'm not a human wishbone, so I need to just stay where I am. And then walk your forearms down. Once there, send your hips forward. So you take a greater angle in the knees, right? And slide the knees out. Then send your hips back behind the knees, closing that angle. And then come to neutral. And simply rest here. Now, if you'd like to make this a more restorative pose, you can kind of bunch up a few pillows or blankets and take them under you. You can rest your forehead down, or if it's comfortable, you can lay the belly onto the earth. But this is a deep inner hip stretch, knowing that our hips hold a lot of our emotions and tension. And if we're seated for long periods of time, this can be very helpful. One more full breath cycle here. Beginning to walk your elbows back. Easiest way out of this one is bend your knees more, sending your heels toward one another. Hands will come under your shoulders, and then you really gingerly just slide one knee in and then the next until you come back to neutral tabletop pose. And we're going to round the spine out here, push the hips back toward the heels, stretch that low back out. Shift your hips to the left, just like we did at the beginning. Shift your hips to the right. And come back to neutral. We'll come to seated on your mat. Taking the hands to the shins, lift up through the spine, and then as you round down, you're going to send the legs into knees into the chest, and find a little bit of rocking from side to side here. So just a little massage for the low back. We did a lot of work through hips tonight, a lot of work through shoulders and upper traps, all those places where we hold tension. So let's now circle the knees out just a couple of times in each direction. 2 to the right and 2 to the left. Excuse me. Letting the soles of the feet now drop to the earth. We'll cross the right ankle over the left knee. And you're gonna reach up and interlace behind that knee as you draw the knee in towards your chest, and then shoulders and head drop back to the floor. Now, if this is really bad on your knee, you can take a strap behind your knee so that you're creating a little bit more space, or a strap in front of the knee. But just be really mindful of what you're feeling. You should feel a stretch now through the outer hip. If you would like to add a bit of hamstring stretch, send the left heel up to the ceiling and pull the toes back a bit. But again, try not to let the tailbone lift up off the floor. Keep the tailbone rooted by pulling the belly button down to the spine. Slowly release the sole of your left foot to the earth. Let the hands come out to the sides. Drop your knees to the right side of the room, feeling that stretch over hip and low back on left. Rising through center, keep your ankle crossed. You're going to now send your left foot to the right and drop the knees over to your left side. So your right knee is pointing right up to the ceiling, and perhaps the right sole of the foot is down on the earth. You'll feel that to the inner thighs now, in particular the left front of the inner thigh. Slowly draw the feet through center, both knees into the chest, a bit of rocking from side to side. Taking the sole of that right foot down, cross left ankle over right knee. Reach up to interlace either in front of the shin or behind the knee, being mindful and relaxing the shoulders and head down. The more you flex your left foot, the more you can press the left knee open and still keep the knee line safe without torque in the knee. Now from here, again, if you would like hamstring, you can press the right heel up toward the ceiling, being mindful to press the tailbone down toward the earth. Slowly release the sole of your right foot down. Let the arms come out by your sides and let the knees drop over to your left. Drawing up through center. Walk your right foot to the left as you send the knee down toward the right side of the room. So you have this opposite side twist now. Feeling it into the inner thighs and the fronts of the hips. Slowly drawing back up through center, let both knees come into the chest, a bit of rocking from side to side. And slowly place the soles of the feet on the floor. You're going to send the soles to touch and the knees wide. So this is just like when we take, it's called Baddha Konasana, bound angle, seated. But it's just this more relaxed pose. Now, if it's a bit much on the hips, feel free to put something underneath your outer thighs or knees so that you don't feel like the gravity is just pulling them downward. And if you want more, feel free to put the hands on the inner thighs and give a little bit more weight downward. We're here for 4 deep breaths in and out. Continuing with that full, complete breath cycle. One more full breath. And slowly bring the hands to the outer thighs as you gently guide the knees toward one another, soles of feet once again to the earth. Walk your heels back a bit so they come close to the glutes. Palms will face upward. You're going to simply lift the hips. We're in a baby bridge. We're not lifting up really high. We haven't done enough back bend work tonight. So little release here across the fronts of your hips. Relax that down. And then allow the soles to lift to the ceiling. You can keep a gentle bend in the knees and just feel the weight of the upper thigh bones, those femurs, drop down. Taking a nice deep breath in and a full breath out. We're here for 2 more breaths. It's raining quite hard here. I hear it in the background. All right, we're going to allow the soles of the feet to drop down. Preparing for Shavasana, I might recommend tonight, because we've done a lot of supported work, rolling the bottom part of your mat so that you have just a bit of support underneath your knees. If you have something more supportive, all the better. But just a little bit of support under the knees as you relax your body now into corpse pose. Feeling the toes splay outward, the fingers relax, and simply rest down. I will invite you, again, with it being a long week, there's a lot of tension in the body, so I'm going to invite you to do a gentle tense and release exercise. We're going to do it 3 times through the whole body. As you inhale, make a fist in your hands and then try and tense every muscle in the body, squeezing on the inhale and holding the breath. Exhaling, release everything. Stay here with no tension in the body as you simply breathe in and breathe out. Again, inhale, every muscle tenses, squeeze, hold the breath. Release out. Take a breath in with no tension and a breath out with no tension. Last time, breathe in, tense everything up, hold, squeeze tightly. Release it out completely. Settle in, release and soften down. Physically feel tension melt out of the body from the shoulders out through the tips of the fingers and from the hips out through the tips of the toes. And as you begin to settle, switching it up a bit tonight, I'll use my quote as we settle into Shavasana. This is a quote from a Hopi elder at a Native American gathering in Arizona in 1999 at the summer solstice. He says, "There is a river flowing now very fast. It is so great and so swift that there are those who will be afraid. They will try to hold on to the shore. They will feel they are being torn apart and suffering greatly. Know that the river has its destination. The elders say we must push off in the middle of the river, keep our eyes open and our heads above water. See who is in there with you and celebrate. At this time in history, we are to take nothing personally, least of all ourselves. For the moment we do that, our spiritual growth comes to a halt. The time of the lone wolf is over. Gather yourselves, banish the word struggle from your attitude and vocabulary. All that we do now must be done in a sacred way and in celebration. We are the ones we've been waiting for. And so I invite you now to push off on your mat. Push off from the shore and find your balance so that you may come together and ease the struggle. Release here. Relax here. And just be. Slowly begin to invite gentle movement into your body, perhaps just through breath at the beginning, rising and falling. Then maybe adding wiggling of fingers and toes, maybe circling of ankles and wrists, stretching the body in any way that feels comfortable. And then gently drawing the knees in towards your chest and making your way off to one side as you roll from darkness to light, from corpse to fetal position, and pressing your way up to a comfortable seated position with eyes closed. Allowing the back of the hands to rest gently on the knees as the palms face upward. And in this seat, take a final moment, fully present, to scan your body and notice any changes you might feel physically or energetically. Reflect on those changes with gratitude for providing yourself the space and time to find peace on your mat. As you breathe in, allow the arms to rise overhead. Breathing out, the palms touch and slide to center chest. I'll seal our time together with a single round of Om. Inhaling. Surrendering the head to the heart as you swallow in the back of your throat. Raising your thumb knuckles to center forehead. All that is light and love in me honors and shines to all that is light and love in each of you. Thank you for practicing. Namaste.